So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about your farm, the three things, chickens, ducks, and gardening, in the extreme heat. So basically, let's do this. Alright, so this first part is going to be talking about chickens. So obviously, they're going to need some shade in their yard. Fortunately for us, this area that we currently have has a huge, just like, I don't know if you can really tell, but there's a bunch of weeds there, and the chickens love to hang out in there. There's even some of those berries, I did some research, and they are not poisonous ones. For chickens, at least. Like, if I ate them, I'd probably get sick. But the chickens, they can have them no problem. So that means that an even better place to hang out in. And then constantly cold water. I don't know if you can put ice cubes there, but at least make sure you're, like, making sure you have the coldest water possible when bringing it out. Like, maybe when you're inside filling it up in the sink, make sure it's on cold water. And if you're out in the basement turning on the water, make sure it's cold. But I don't really think that you can, you know, like I don't know if you can really do hot water anyway, because that'll either drive the chickens absolutely insane, or you will absolutely burst your hose, and that's not going to be a good ending for you. You'd be mad. And then you're going to need to bring them cold treats. Now I actually have an example for you here. So back in summer 2020, it wasn't absolutely hot that summer. It was just like last summer. It wasn't like terribly hot, but it wasn't terribly cold either. So it was like in between, where 90 or 80 felt really hot. So what we would do is we would make ice cubes, but we would put blueberries in the water, and we would freeze this, and we bring them out to them, and they love these things, trust me. They are really good, and your chickens will definitely love them. Ventilate the chicken coop. So this is our chicken coop, and actually I talk about ventilation in my tutorial on how to build chicken coops, which you should actually really check out. There's ventilation up there. There's insulation in the walls and so on and so forth. Tons of ventilation to keep them cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And then this last one, and these last two ones are constant cleaning and fan in the coop. Now the only way you can actually have a fan in your chicken coop is only if you have, like, you know, the only way you can actually have a fan in your chicken coop is if you have, what's it called? You have electricity. Now for us, we do have electricity out here, but whenever, like, there's gonna be like a bad storm coming through, we always bring the coop at the house. And what we will end up doing is we will end up, you know, turning on the fan in the chicken coop. We'll plug it in, turn on the fan. It's simple as that. So now let's talk about ducks. And not too many people have ducks, just like the percentage of the world that is subscribed to my channel. Let's talk about ducks real quick. I have a video talking about them, so I don't really need to talk about them in this video. So, they just need a kiddie pool, which we have right here. We're going to rinse it out and give it to them first thing tomorrow morning, like usual. Cold water, just like the chickens. Ventilation, just like the chickens, and basically everything. Chickens and ducks are almost the same. You can even keep them together. But there's a video talking about that on my channel. It was really rushed together, so it does have some actual video gameplay in the background. That's it. I don't know if you want to check out that video, it's pretty cringe. So now let's talk about gardening, and while it really isn't a farm animal, it can still be considered something that still does need care in the winter. And so what you're going to need is, you're going to need some mulch. Now we did mulch a couple years ago, didn't have too much success with it, but that's only for us, because that summer was extremely different. Obviously you're going to need to water them earlier in the morning, so that means maybe you water them at like noon, you might want to water them at like 7 or 8. That's what I mean by earlier in the morning. New transplants. So if this happens like in, like, I don't know, late May or early June like we did have this year, if you're like just transplanting some new plants in, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put them under a larger plant. Say like you have tons of room in front of your sunflowers, then you might want to put like a new transplant under there temporarily. And then you're always going to want to have some taller grass, about 3 inches or so. The reason that we don't really have grass in this garden is because of our weed block. And I actually have a video talking about that, which was from the other night, actually. Pretty quickly growing video and views, I will say. And then, obviously, you're going to need some shade in there. So, great way to do this. Not like the way that we did with the chickens, where we just put 2 cinder blocks there and then put a roof on top of that. This is going to need, like, actual shade. And there's actually an example on screen. So, feel free to copy that. And then, don't water the leaves. This will cause them to mold and keep the plant even more susceptible to heat damage. So yeah, don't water the leaves. That's why we have an irrigation system. And speaking of irrigation systems, 3 videos for you to check out on that.